Wepa! We finally
Come on.
did it.
You guys, we did it. We are here.
It's Houston Soccer HQ, a brand new show here on Fox 26 and Fox Local, hosted by
Antoine.
and Carolina Sanchez. And we've got two very special people in the building. We've got Jonathan Mejia.
Yes, we're here.
You're going to be a reporter for this show.
That's right, bringing you all the latest, all the good, all the nice, everything related to soccer. We're here. We're going to bring it.
And we've got
The man of the hour.
the president of the Houston Host Committee for the FIFA World Cup coming in 2026. Thank you for being here.
Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Chris Canetti, you're the man. Okay, so being that this is our first show, we basically want to let the folks at home get introduced to who you are, what you've been doing, the responsibilities that fall under your purview, and let's just let this be the start of the conversation as we move forward, my man. So just kind of introduce yourself to everyone watching, man.
Sure. Well, good to be here, first and foremost. Thanks for doing this show. This is awesome. Chris Canetti, I'm the president of the Houston 2026 World Cup Host Committee. I've been at this job for almost 7 years now. Worked in sports for 30 years and was with the Houston Dynamo for 13 years from 2006 to 2018. Served as the club president for a number of those years. Was here when we launched the Dynamo back in 2006. Built the soccer stadium over there, now known as Shell Energy Stadium, which opened back in 2012. Launched the Houston Dash in 2014. So I've done a lot of good stuff in soccer over the course of my nearly 20 years in Houston, but none more important and more exciting than leading the bid and winning the bid to bring the World Cup to Houston, which happened back in 2022 was when we were announced as a World Cup host city. So led that process from 2019 to 2022 and just have been leading the host city efforts since then, which means leading all the planning and the organizing to make sure that the World Cup goes off here next year without a hitch.
Yeah, and you've been busy, and we covered the bid process, which is a long process. But before we dive into that, we haven't told the folks at home what Houston Soccer HQ is going to be.
Okay, let's do that then.
Let's do it very quickly.
So basically, this is our way to just kind of talk to you guys. You don't have to be an expert in soccer. You don't have to know a thing about soccer. But hopefully, by watching this show and just having this kind of living room conversation with us, you guys are going to walk away with a better understanding of soccer and really, more than anything else, the opportunity we really have here in the city of Houston coming up here in 2026.
Yes, because the FIFA World Cup is coming, and it is going to be the biggest ever to have happened with the expansion of not just one host country, not two host countries, which we've had in the past, but the first time we're doing 3 host countries, the United States, Mexico, and Canada, and more countries coming, right? And instead of 32, now we're at 48. And instead of 8 groups, we've got 12. Yep. And instead of 64 matches, we got 104. So it's multiple opportunities to fall in love with this sport. I mean, whether you like soccer or not, if you love sports, you're going to love this tournament. And you and I are not experts, but we are fans, and we want to build that excitement with you at home. And we're going to be bringing in the experts to get you riled up and excited about it.
And what better city than Houston?
Baby.
Such diverse city. You have a little bit of everything. I've been here for a year and 4 months, and I've just seen a little bit of everything in terms of, culturally diverse. You have food, you have everything. And you said it, soccer and sports in general is such a unifying thing that maybe you don't understand, or maybe you're not a fan, but you can rally behind a team. You can rally behind that underdog. You can, identify yourself with someone's story that you may have never known before if it wasn't for the sport. So I think Houston being one of the sports cities, it's amazing, it's huge, it's a great honor, and I'm so excited to see what we are able to do.
Yeah.
So that's a great segue, for us to just kind of lead into like that big process and that pitch, with the diversity and everything that was going on. Chris, take us back a little bit, man, because 2022 was when it was announced that you got the bid, but to get it wasn't easy either. And then we also had a whole pandemic. In the midst of all of this. So kind of walk us through that process a little bit and the excitement of getting the opportunity to host.
Yeah, so FIFA announced in 2018 that the World Cup would be coming to North America, the U.S., Mexico, and Canada, as you laid out. So that began the process of trying to figure out which U.S. cities would host. The Canadian cities were predetermined, the Mexican cities were predetermined, so it was just a matter of finalizing the U.S. cities. There was at one point, I believe 24 U.S. cities who were vying for 10 spots. That eventually got narrowed down to 17. And then at the end of the day, 11 cities were selected. So it was a fight, if you will, during the bid process to see which U.S. cities would ultimately come away as host cities. The general feedback we had when we started this in 2019, that Houston was probably on the outside looking in. Even though we're the fourth largest city and all the great things that are going on here, I don't think FIFA had a good understanding of really what Houston was all about and what we brought to the table. Mm-hmm. So we worked very hard in 2019, 20, 21, into 22 to tell the story about Houston, to make sure that all the things that we had going in our favor were well understood. And it was a difficult challenge, to your point, with COVID. There was no visits to the city. Everything was done via Zoom, and everybody faced that back in the day. So it was an abnormal process, but eventually we got through it. We did what we needed to do. And in June of 22, Houston was announced as one of the 11. It went from 10 to 11 U.S. host cities. I think that's because a Canadian city dropped out at one point. Montreal was one of the Canadian cities, so they
we'll
replaced
take it.
it.
We'll take it. No big deal. We'll take it.
It wasn't because they dropped out, though.
But we made it, and we deserve to be a host city. To be honest with you, we had no weaknesses whatsoever. Mm-hmm. When we started this process of saying we should be a host city, it wasn't that we were coming from a position of weakness here, there, or anywhere else. Across the board, we were strong. We just needed to communicate our strengths and make sure that everybody knew that Houston had every box checked in terms of what we needed to do to be a host for what's going to be the largest sporting event in the history of the world.
And Chris, may I ask, were you guys able to draw back from any major sports events that had happened prior? Because we had many here in Houston.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, it should have been a
no-brainer,
shoo-in because of everything that we hosted. We had tackled so many soccer tournaments, international ones. I mean, the Final Four, time and time again. Super Bowl, we knocked it out of the park. Why did it seem like we were?
We just, I think this is a challenge that we face as a city overall, not just as it pertains to hosting major sporting events. We're sort of lacking brand recognition and awareness globally, right? So FIFA is a global organization based out of Zurich. And we're not Los Angeles or LA or Miami, right? So we had to work hard to tell the story about Houston. And, we did play off of the fact that we've hosted more major sporting events in this city than any other city in North America since 2004, and all of the good things that go with that. So yeah, that was an important point to show that we've been there, we've done that, we've got the know-how, the expertise, and promoters continuously bring their events to Houston time and time again because they're successful. At the end of the day, they make money and they have good events here. So that pattern was something we needed to show FIFA so that they could feel comfortable with following suit.
And Houston always has that get it done, make it happen type of mentality. And I thought part of the process to even get over one of the sticking points for FIFA was the pitch and the field and needing to make some changes, and just kind of talk about how you guys got that done, because at the time that was a very interesting and unique way, of you guys putting together that plan to, win that bid.
Yeah. So assuming not everybody understands the full nature of this, the floor over at NRG Stadium is concrete, right? And they bring in the surface for whatever event's taking place there. If there's a football game there, they bring in the artificial grass. If there's the rodeo, they bring in the dirt. If there's an ice skating event, they bring in the ice, right? So whatever event comes in, they build the surface over the concrete. For a FIFA World Cup, you need to have natural grass, and you need to have the best natural grass, not just any natural grass. So we needed to bring in a team of experts who really knew what they were talking about to tackle this really challenging situation of building a natural grass field in a stadium that's got a retractable roof, doesn't have full sunlight, and that it needed to be installed 20 days in advance of the game to be able to take and to come together as though it's been there forever. And then it needed to exist for 7 matches over the course of 20 days and continue to grow and be healthy and all that good stuff. So a lot of science went into this, a lot of technology, a lot of good work by a lot of people to put together a plan for FIFA to show that we can do this, that given the challenges of everything I just mentioned, that we have the right plan and the right people in place to be able to make sure that the pitch is perfect. There's really not there's no room for error when it comes to this in the FIFA World Cup.
Yeah, and listen, we got to toot our horn because we did an entire documentary about how Houston won that bid and that long process that you went through, including our conversation with Dan Bergstrom over there at the Dynamo, who really helped put this together. So please tune in because we have 3 more showings over the next couple of months. So y'all better y'all better watch.
And to what we were saying earlier too, like we didn't know, that we were doing fact finding and just kind of having conversation with everyone involved. And then for me anyway, I was like, the grass, like that was the thing, like the pitch, like the grass, like that was an issue. But it was like, it's actually super interesting to find out how they put that plan together, because to get all that done in a very short window.
Because they wanted it months out. They wanted them to start the process months out with the grass, right?
Yeah, well, the best case scenario is the stadium has a permanent grass field, right? Which is the case in Kansas City or Miami or some of the other venues, right? It's there all the time, and it's just a matter of improving it slightly. But we're in a situation where, like I said, it's concrete floor.
Yeah.
So, a ton of work needed to go into this. We have a tight window. The rodeo, of course, is always going to take place in Houston during the time frame that it takes place, and then they move out. And really, it was about how do we get that done. At one point, honestly, we thought we were going to need to start moving in the minute the rodeo got out of there, which was around April 1st. But as we started digging into this deeper, we realized that it's actually better. The shorter amount of time we have the field down, the better. It wasn't about having it down a longer period of time, right?
Oh.
So we were able to create the timeline where in May of 2026, we will move into the stadium. We'll start to do all the work that needs to get done to prepare for the actual sod to be laid, and the sod will be put down around May 20th. It's about a 20-day prep period to bring in all the things that need to be brought in to prepare for the sod to go down, and then that gives the sod 20 days to take before the first match, right? It gets stitched together and watered, and artificial light is brought in and all this kind of stuff. So hopefully by June 14th of next year, that field looks like it's been a permanent field like you have in other facilities across the country.
Quick turnaround. That's a quick turnaround from May to June.
And you're saying June 14th, baby. It is June 18th. I mean, we've talked about winning the bid, and now it's time to get ready to host. So what has the host committee been working on? What do you have laid out in front of you for the next 300 days or so?
I think what people need to understand, there's a lot of moving parts. This is more than just putting on 7 soccer matches at NRG Park. This is about welcoming 500,000 plus visitors to Houston, making sure that they can arrive at the airports in a certain way and get from the airports to their hotels, and from their hotels to the fan festival or to the matches. So transportation is a big piece of this, and mobility around the city. Of course, safety and security is the number one thing, and number one priority. We need to make sure this is a safe event for all. We need to make sure that not only while we're protecting our events and our fans and our guests, that the rest of the city can continue to operate, and the services to the rest of Houston are still working the way they need to work. We need to put on a 39-day fan festival. This is going to take place in Edo near the Dynamo Stadium, near Shell Energy Stadium. So aside from the 7 matches at NRG Park for 39 days, fans can go down and participate in what's really an outdoor viewing party of the 104 matches. But we're anticipating north of 500,000 visitors to the fan festival alone. Setting up the practice facilities, improvements and renovations to NRG Stadium. I think you guys might have gone down there recently and seen some of the changes that are taking place. So there's a lot of moving parts to this. We've got a good team of experts who in their fields who are working on all of these things: human rights, sustainability, legacy. We got to raise a lot of money to help cover the cost of this. So like I said, there's a whole bunch of things that go into this. Somehow, some way, in a year's time, it's all going to go down, and
Somehow, some way.
it'll work.
Crossing fingers, doing all the
No, it'll
things.
be great. I think when you talk about all the things that you guys will be bringing in, I just can't, imagine how impactful it will be for the city in terms of economic revenue.
Yes. So again, somewhere in the neighborhood of 500,000 plus people will come to Houston to visit. We have 2 great international airports. We're very accessible to the world. I've told this story before. We were in a hotel meeting with the general manager along with some FIFA executives, and the FIFA executive was telling a story how in 2018 they were working the World Cup in Russia at some far eastern Russian city, and Peru was playing in that city at that time. And 40,000 Peruvians made their way from Peru to Far East Russia. That's, if you know geography at all, that's a long way to go.
Yep.
Logistically challenging, and I imagine quite expensive for 40,000 people to make that trip. And out of the 40,000 people that made that trip, only 14,000 had tickets to the match.
Wow.
So the other 26,000 just wanted to be there, just wanted to be around it and be in the environment. And when you think about Houston, and our connectivity to the world, in particular to South and Central America, you can imagine the flow of people that are going to come in and just want to be a part of the celebration, the excitement, the energy that's going on here. So all of that leads to this economic opportunity that you spoke of, which is projected at this point to be around 1.5 billion with a B. It's easy to get there in your head when you realize that the Super Bowl in 2017 had an economic impact of $347 million. That was one game with about a week's worth of events leading up to the game on Sunday. We've got 7 games and we've got 39 days worth of events. So some might even be able to say 1.5 billion is a conservative estimate, but we'll have a better idea of really what the impact is going to be in December when the teams are announced.
Right.
So certain teams are going to bring bigger traveling audiences than others, and our fingers are crossed that we get the biggest, most interesting matchups and teams to come to Houston to draw the most people.
That's awesome. You mentioned South and Central America. Here in Houston, the top 3 Latino population is Mexico, El Salvador, and Honduras.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, just right there, you have already people who are living here. So I can only imagine when hopefully more Hispanic countries and Latino countries can make it and obviously bring more people in. But I mean, I just think this impact is going to be huge.
Yeah, I mean, we know Houston's an international city, right? And this is so diverse, as you mentioned earlier. I think that was also something that we showcased to FIFA, and we said, this is not only the 4th largest city in the United States, but it's one of the most diverse, if not the most diverse. And this international city, it is the right place to put an international football tournament like this. So, I think it's an advantage to us, our diversity. And we used to say it's a perfect match, if you will,
Yes.
for the World Cup. So.
And then talk about East Downtown Edo. Like, why that spot specifically? Because Fan Fest, more than 30 days, is going to be a huge attraction. But why that location, and why was that prime? You know what I mean, for that opportunity?
Yeah, so, there's been other major sporting events, of course, that have come through Houston: Super Bowls, Final Fours, college football championships, et cetera, over the last decade. They've held their Fan Fests at Discovery Green, downtown Avenida. It's a great spot. Worked unbelievable. I think the challenge for us is, again, this is a 39-day event, plus 5 weeks of setup and 4 weeks of breakdown. So at the end of the day, we're taking over a space for 90 days, basically from May 1 through July 30th, right? So we just weren't going to be able to pull that off in a downtown location logistically or even financially. So we needed to think creatively outside the box and say, while all Fan Fests have generally been held here, that's not going to work here. Where else can we do it? So, we looked at a bunch of different options, but at the end of the day, just through a brainstorm session, thought Edo would be a cool place. This is obviously where the Dynamo Stadium and Dash Stadium is. This is where there's great bars and restaurants, and many of those bars, such as Pitch 25, have been the go-to spots in 2018 and 2022 for World Cup viewing parties. Mm-hmm. So we've created a brand destination down there. We're calling it Football Fiesta. So we're going to invite everybody down to Football Fiesta, which is basically Edo, the footprint, all the bars and the restaurants. And within Football Fiesta is the official FIFA Fan Festival. So come on down to Football Fiesta, go to all the bars, go to all the restaurants, come to the Fan Festival, do both, right? And get the entire experience. And we think it's going to be cool. It's going to be unique. FIFA loves it. It's quite different than what a lot of the other cities are doing, which is just kind of putting it over in a park, right? A big open green field space. Yeah. So we're going to have, hopefully our vision is you go down to Edo, during these 39 days, and there's people from everywhere wearing the colors, the jerseys, the scarves, walking around, like I said, in and out of, the rodeo, go to the truck yard, or, Pitch 25, or the Dynamo Stadium, which is also going to be open, and coming out to the Fan Fest and having a wonderful time. Whether you're from Katy or Friendswood or Europe or Africa or Asia, wherever it is, like, enjoy it. It's going to be an awesome representation of Houston.
Two things about Edo. Last summer, I was there, obviously attending the Copa America games, and man, it was top notch. Second, hopefully weather's on our side, because that place floods quick.
Baby, why are you pointing out the negative things?
All right, we gotta keep it. We gotta keep it. We gotta keep it real. We gotta keep it real.
We got 2 minutes left.
We gotta keep it real.
Well,
we gotta
listen,
keep
I will
it real.
say this. No, certainly weather's an issue.
It's a reality.
That's something we need to prepare for. We're most concerned about the heat and heat mitigation, right? June and July, it's going to be hot. Yeah. It's Houston. We all know that. We all expect that. But we need to make sure that we're doing what we can to keep it cool, to the best of our ability, keep people cool, keep them safe from being outdoors, long periods. But that's also why we want you to come to the fan festival and then maybe go into a bar for a little bit, get cool, come back out, right? So that's actually part of the concept and the design.
Perfect. All right, your team for the World Cup?
Oh, geez. I don't have one. I'm not trying to skirt the question. Obviously, I'm a USA fan, first and foremost, but outside of that, I want the best teams to come to Houston to make the biggest excitement and the biggest crowds. That's what I'm rooting for.
I love it. Thank you so much for coming, Chris, and you'll be back again during this weekly
For
show we have going on.
He's a household name. He's like he'll be with us like as often as possible. But anytime we can get you here, we would love to have you, man.
Happy to do it.
All right, Anthony, your team?
USA. I gotta go with USA, man. Okay, so I was born and raised in Trinidad and Tobago, but they're not making it.
They might. They might.
Have you seen them play recently?
Well, we'll see them.
That
We'll see them on Thursday.
That game against the U.S.
Well, they play Haiti in the Gold Cup on Thursday.
Yep.
Over at Shell. So I'll be watching that, but USA all the way. That's
Jonathan in our last.
Listen, I got to see the field, right? Obviously,
Okay.
I go for the home team, USA, but I got to see the field. So circle back.
Okay.
I mean, he's not rooting for his Honduras. What's going on here, Catracho?
Same like Trinidad and Tobago. I don't know. I mean, we're in the final qualifiers, so hopefully we make it. But I mean, again, based off Gold Cup what we're seeing, we just got killed last night. So
Baby, I can't say
What
much
about
about
you?
Colombia either. USA all the way. Okay, I'm an American outlaw. All right, y'all know. If you know, you know. And I'm also a Parcero United because I am Colombia all the way. But baby, we at the bottom of our group. I don't know.
You guys
We
played
barely,
Argentina
we
really well the other
barely
day,
making.
though.
Yes, we can play up.
Yeah.
But Peru, did you see us against Peru?
did
Hey, we'll dive into it later. All right, we're down to our last 30 seconds. Come back, right?
I think that's it.
They just got to come back. Y'all got to come back every Wednesday, 1 p.m. Houston Soccer HQ. We'll be here with different guests, different experts, and Jonathan will be getting all the
Let's
stuff out
go.
there. All right? Yay, the World Cup's coming, baby, and we'll be here for it.